Good day, guys, and welcome back to my channel. We are going to learn how to make this keyhole yoke corset. So we have our pattern paper right here. I have my chest line, bust point, under bust, and the rest, and I want to make an inbuilt corset. At the under bust, I am taking out 1.5 inch for my bust curve, and I will connect that to my basque waistline. Like I said, I am making an inbuilt corset. That's why this bodice looks like long. It looks long. The full length is 27 inches with the allowance. So I took out 1.5 inch at the under bust on both sides of the under bust, and I am connecting right now. After connecting this one, I will go ahead and connect my under bust to my bust point. I'll do that to the right piece and to the center piece as well. After doing that, I will take out 1 inch on both sides of my yoke area. If you're watching this video, I have a lot of detailed corset videos. I just want to go straight to the point. So right here, I'm taking out 1 inch on each side of our dart line along our chest line. I extended my chest line by 2 inches. You are free to extend it by 1 or 2. It depends on how you want your bust to show. If you want your bust to show a bit, you can just go up by 1 inch above your chest line, but I went up by 2.5. Sorry. This area that I am shading right now is the area that I will cut out. I have corset tutorials already. I'm just trying to explain more. This area that I'm shading right here, I will cut them off. After doing this, I am going to take my bust measurements. I have also labeled my yoke. I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then at the under bust and the half length, I will take my waist measurement. After marking my bust, I will take my waist measurement. At my waist measurement, I'm going to add these 3 inches that I took out. Remember, I took out 1.5 on each side of our darts. I took out 1.5. I will add them back to this pattern paper. I will divide my waist by 4. Then I will add 3 inches for that I took out, and I'll also add another 2 inches for my seam allowance. And after doing that, I will go ahead and connect. I'm trying to cross check everything before I mark. So after dividing my waist by 4, I will add 3 inches for the dart that I took out, and I'll also add 2 inches for the normal seam allowance. And after adding that, I will go ahead and connect. I will connect it to my bust point, and then at the basque or at the full length, I will take my hip measurement. The hip measurement that I'm working with is 41. I will go ahead and label the 41. I'll mark my 41. Then I will connect from my bust to my waist to my chest line, and then from my under bust to the hip line. You can see what we have right here. So after this, you can go ahead and slant the side of your corset if you want. You can just curve the side, just slant the side of your corset. After doing that, I will cut off my yoke, and I will cut out the bodies of the corset, the main bodies of the corset. If you notice, I have not added any neckline to my yoke. Just leave the yoke like that for now. I've cut out the remaining part of the pattern paper. This is what I have right here. I am cutting out that shaded area that I told you guys I'll cut out. I am cutting that out, that area. That is what I'm cutting out right now. Like I told you guys, I will be making an inbuilt corset for this gown. Right now we are done. I'll go ahead and close my upper bust dart. Close your upper bust dart before cutting out your yoke. This is the trick that I want to share in this video. Close your upper bust dart before marking your yoke, so that when you are done fixing your yoke will not be too wide. I don't know if you understand. After drafting, close your upper bust. I have closed mine. Right now, I'll place my yoke on it Make sure that the center fronts are aligned. Make sure that they are aligned. Then mark 3 inches for your neck width. Then mark 1 inch for your shoulder slants. You can see I have marked 3 inches for the wideness of my neck. Then at the yoke line, you can see the area where I cut out my yoke. I will go in by 4 inches or 3.5. It depends on how wide you want your keyhole neckline to be. Remember that I closed mine before marking. I marked 4 inches. Then I'll go ahead and connect to that 3 inches that I marked at the neck wideness, as the neck width. If you want, you can make your neck width 2.2 or 2.5. If you don't want your neck width to be too wide, you can make it 2.5. You can see when I was cutting, I added extra 0.3 inch because I noticed that the 3 inches is a kind of wide. I wanted to make the wideness of my neck smaller, so I made it 2.75 or 2.8. Then after that, you will go ahead and cross-check your yoke along the yoke area or along your chest line. You can see that I closed my pattern before cutting out my yoke, so that when I join, I will be sure that everything will align. I will be very, very sure that they will align. Then I will indicate where I will fix my yoke, and you can see where I will fix my yoke. I'm trying to check if everything is okay. And everything is okay right now. You can see the triangular shape of that our yoke is out, because when you're wearing it on your body, it will have this triangular shape. I've gotten what I wanted and I have opened my pattern. So this is what we have right now. I will go ahead and trim off the excess parts of our yoke. You can see the excess part along the armhole area. I'll go ahead and trim off that excess part. So this is what you will do before cutting out your bracket pieces. After joining, you will get a perfect yoke, a very perfect yoke. Here is the back. I have my chest line, half length and full length. The front corset, the full length of the front will be longer than the full length of the back. That is how I want mine to be. I will mark my 2.75 for the neck width. Remember, I reduced the neck width of the front to 2.75. I also mark 2.75 at the back. I will also mark my shoulder slants. I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder slants. After marking my shoulder slants, I will go ahead and determine the depth of the neckline. The back will have a yoke also. I will determine the depth of the back yoke, of the depth of the back neckline, and that is 1.5. I measured 1.5. Right now I am connecting. I will connect my normal round neck for my back. Then from that normal round neck, I will also come down. Let me just label the yoke. From that place where I measured my normal round neck, I will come down by 1 inch. But before I do that, I will go in by 4 inches from the center back. Then I'll come down by 1 inch from my normal round neck, and I will curve the yoke of the back. I want the yoke of the back to have this round shape. I posted a tutorial on that this week. After doing that, you can add your darts, but I don't sew my back corset with darts most times. I'll just take my bust measurements and my waist measurements, then my hip measurements. I didn't add any darts. My waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I will also mark my hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. You can see I have gotten the yoke for the back, and you can see how beautiful the yoke looks. Remember, I did not add any zipper allowance to this back. There is no zipper allowance on this back panel. Reason is that I will lace the back. I want to lace the back, so there is no point adding a zipper allowance. I will still reduce the back pattern. I will still reduce it a bit, so that when I lace my corset, the back will be showing a bit. I'll go ahead and reduce the back pattern, the upper part of the back. I'll reduce it by 3 inches. I want it to have this triangular shaped lacing. Like if you are tying it, as you are coming down, the space will be reducing. You can see the triangular lacing type. I'll go ahead and shade. This area that I'm shading is the area that I will cut out. So after this, I will go ahead and cut out that shaded area. After cutting the shaded area, I will also cut out my yoke. I'll cut out the round opening around the yoke, and I'll cut my neckline. After cutting my neckline, I'll go ahead and cut the remaining parts of the back. I'll cut out the side, and then I'll cut out my yoke. After doing all this, I will cut out my yoke, and that will be all for the back pattern. So guys, I will upload the sewing video, but I noticed that uploading two of them at the same time will be too bulky. That's why I divided the video into two parts. So this is the part 1. I also upload the part 2. After cutting out the back, this is what I have. Right now, I will go back to the front and I will mark my bra cup shape. I went in by 4.5 at the side piece. This is the side piece of our corset. I went in by 4.5 and I will connect back to my under bust. Then from there, I will connect to my armhole. At the center, I will go in by half an inch at the chest line and at the bust point. Then I will connect. From there, I will connect to my under bust. This is how I got my center piece. This is how I normally get my center piece. So this is what we have at the end of the day. I'll label the center and the side. Right now, I will go ahead and cut this out on my fabric. I'll cut out the yoke, the bra cup pieces and everything. Right now, I am done cutting out. This is the back. This is our back. I will use velvet for the main fabric, and I've cut out the lining also. This is the front. I'll use velvet for my yoke, and I've cut out the lining for all of them. I'll upload the sewing video as soon as possible. See you all in my next video. Bye.